MMAOddsBreaker here. Today we got Smiling Sam Alvey on, regular guest with us here. Getting ready to fight Daniel Kelly, but I got a weird little text from you. You were a couple minutes behind getting ready for the interview, and you said you had to stay back at the gym and help some friends, some of the fighters at the gym with some management issues.
Yeah, I do what I can when I can, and so four of my teammates, they've got a fight tomorrow night. So weigh-ins are today, but they're having problems getting there. So I was just getting everything squared away with the promoters. And
you mean getting to the venue for weigh-ins, or?
Yeah. Well, one of them's a girl fighter, AJ. Her husband just got home from overseas, and she's stuck on base with him for we don't know till when. Today at some point, so we don't know if she can get to weigh-ins or if there's another option.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, it's military doesn't care what the spouse has going on.
Yep.
It's time.
Yeah, not at all. So, but luckily the promotion was being very, very helpful with us, and I think we got it figured out.
Good. Does that kind of stuff distract you too much from what you have going on? Because you do have to worry about your fight too.
I've always looked at my job as the same as any other job. I don't think there's any more pressure on my job than a construction worker or a realtor. And so it's just a day-to-day kind of process. I like helping out, and it's never bothered me in the past.
Okay, that's good then. It keeps things kind of normal and at least on even playing ground for you as far as training camp goes. And
oh yeah, it's the same reason I bring my whole family to my camps or to my fights. They're there for my camp, so they should be there for my fight.
It doesn't bother. I mean, is there too much disunrest? I mean, because you do travel quite a bit. You go overseas a lot to fight.
Yeah.
You go to foreign countries. Does that bother the kids at all when you travel that much and have to go that far?
No. The last time I went to Australia, so I don't know, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, whenever it was, both myself and my little girl got sick on the plane ride over. But she was in good spirits the whole time. I fought sick. I mean, I got it into the cage, and it had to be a first round knockout, or it was going to be rough for me. But no, other than that, they've always traveled great.
You've been doing pretty well when it comes to finishing a fight as quickly as possible. Obviously, your last fight with Caesar was a first round, just over 3.5 minutes. Fight before that with Andrews was just over 2 minutes. You lost to Watson decision, though. It went all 3 rounds. And then before that, Merchant, you had another decision against him as well. So it was almost like for a second you're going double decision and then, double knockouts. How do you think this fight's going to end up? Looking at your pattern from before, is it going to be another decision victory for you, or are you going to get a finish in this one as well?
I'm all I can guarantee is I'm fighting for fight of the night. If I get a knockout, a submission, I know he's a grappler, and I know he's going to try and grapple me one way or another. And sometimes it's harder to get a finish on somebody who only wants to try and throw you around. But I've been preparing for it. I've been working with some really good judo studs. So could you, actually.
Yeah.
And then I've been working with his instructor as well. And then, Dan Hendo and Brian Harper and Ricardo Felice, they're all judo studs as well, in their own way. But I'm gonna make it. I got knockout of the night last time, or a performance bonus, and they're addicting. So it's every fight I'm having. I'm fighting for the bonus.
And I got to check with fight metrics to see what the stats are. But I think that fighters that get performance bonuses tend to get performance bonuses again. It's one of those things that's self-predicating. Once you get it, you're kind of like, I love the extra money. I love the feeling of the extra notoriety that comes with it, because it's an extra press piece that comes out. Sam Alvey won a performance of the night bonus, and now you kind of go after it again, and it's kind of tough for people that haven't had it before to get it. It's much easier for a guy that's already had it once to get it again. You're like every other fighter I've talked to. They said, hey, I got it last time, I'm going to get it again. I'm going to get it again. Is there a change in your training camp, or a change in your technical style when I have this ability to get performance in the night bonuses? Do you train differently, or have a different game plan? Your game plans change a little bit because you can get these bonuses?
Not really. I've always fought for knockout of the night or fight of the night or whatever of the night. And it's just the UFC puts a lot of money behind it. Throughout, I've got 25 fights now. I'll bet you I've gotten 15 of the night awards. It's just most organizations don't give the bonus like that. The UFC does, and it's my goal to keep getting them. Getting the bonuses makes the fans like you more. It gives the fans more something to watch, and that's really, the money's important, but the fans are really the reason I can get any money at all.
Do you already have plans for the next Fight Night bonus, whether it's this fight or the next fight after this one? Like, do you have plans for what you have to do with that money?
Well, this last bonus went to paying off all my debt and everything. So my next bonus is I'll have a little more fun with. My wife and I were looking to buy our first house. And we're gonna that's probably what most of it's gonna go for.
It'll be your down payment on your house. That's how it goes. Now, Henderson was out here in Vegas a couple weeks ago. He was in Moab in his Jeep doing some four-wheeling, and then came out to Vegas and hung out with Randy and some other folks at a country bar. But it seems like when Dan's not in camp, he's not around the gym as much as he could be, especially being the gym owner. He's kind of off, and he's got a heavy schedule too as far as appearances and stuff goes. Mm-hmm. When he comes in, does the format and the feeling of the practice change when all of a sudden Dan's been gone for 5 or 6 days because he's been on tour doing something, doing seminars or appearances, and then all of a sudden, boom, he shows up on a Thursday? Does that change kind of the feeling of the practice because Dan's back in the room?
Yeah, not really. Dan's gone out of his ways to put together a team with just the best coaches he could find. And the coaches run the practice how they're going to run the practice, whether Dan's there or not. For me, it's always nice when Dan's there because he's my size and he hits like a truck. There's literally not a fighter Dan can't replicate. So for me, it's another training partner, which is nice. But the actual practice, the drilling, everything else stays about the same whether he's there or not.
The attitude from the fighters, does anybody step up? Like the newer kids want to step up, like, oh, Dan's back. I gotta impress them. Do any of the guys, the younger guys that are kind of newer to the fighting game, try to step up their game a little bit when Dan's in the room?
Yeah, they all do, but it's always kind of a rude awakening. Dan doesn't go soft. A lot of myself and a lot of other guys, we can soften up when we go with some of the younger guys, and they'll think they're doing okay with us when really we're just getting a good work out of it.
Yeah.
And they'll go with Dan and they'll get hurt. And Dan doesn't try to hurt anyone, but it happens.
Yeah.
Dan's got his speed, and a couple of us know what his speed is. But if you haven't gone with him before, his speed's hard to catch up to.
And that's one of the things they do a lot of in boxing. Well, they'll take a guy that's a Mayweather, for example, preparing for his fights. They'll bring in a lower level guy for the first 3 rounds of warm up, essentially, but it's live sparring. But he's like a lower level guy. He's just getting a feeling, and he feels like, oh yeah, I did really well with Mayweather, but Mayweather's just playing with him. Pacquiao's just playing with him. He's not really doing much. They call it, at least the way it's been told to me, they call it feathering. Like, I'm just going to go out there and feather for a 3 rounds with this guy. They get warmed up, and as the rounds get harder, as we change guys in, the rounds don't get harder. Then obviously the best training partner that we're paying the most amount of money to comes in 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15th round to get, during practice.
Right.
Do you schedule your practices like that too, kind of, where you're like, okay, well, we're going 7 rounds today, for example. I know I need to go 3 hard ones. The first 3 or 4 are going to be feathering ones. I'm going to go with one of the lighter guys to work technique and stuff. And then now I'm grabbing Dan for round 5, 6, and 7. Do you do that in your practice as well?
Yeah. Never will I go with Virgil Zwicker round 1. He's a guy. He's a round 4 or 5 guy.
Great example. Yeah, that makes for a miserable practice if you have him round 1.
Yeah. He's the guy I stay away from round 1. But I've got some up and coming younger guys, either good amateurs or young pros. I'll get a good warm up in, and me and I call them the super pros of the gym. The Tarek, the Jessies, the Toms. We ease into it, and then we get into where we're going with each other. Then we're never trying to hurt each other, but we're trying to get done what we need to get done.
Did anybody do that for you? Because it's almost like a confidence builder when you're going with somebody of such a high level, a high caliber, and you're kind of in the game still. You're still in the round. It's a good confidence builder, and it's also too learning your mistakes. And my hand was down here and I got cracked, but he didn't put me unconscious. Now I know I got to keep my hand a little bit higher. Did anybody do that to you as you were coming up too, like giving you those nice light rounds or lighter rounds to speak?
Kinda. Most until I want to say I was 12-1 or 12-2 or something. I I was the head of my gym back in Wisconsin.
That's right.
I mean, everyone was going as hard as they could, but I was a little bit, I was above them a little bit. Once I moved out to California, at that point I was 12-2, which is, I mean, everybody kind of, it's a big record even then. People start trying to go harder with you. So kind of I did, but it was never intentional, really.
Okay. Yep. Do you miss playing the trumpet?
I do. I still have it, and I toot on it every now and then. But I used to be able to play for hours. I mean, I could play 5-6 hours. Now I'm good for like 5-6 minutes, and then my lips start going all flabby.
Most people at home don't realize that Sam was a very good trumpet player and was semi-pro, running through college, and could have meant full professional if he wanted to play trumpet and chose to fight instead. So it's and unfortunately, it's a diminishing skill. So if you don't stick with it, you lose it. So when you retire in 5 or 6 years from now, you can screw around with it for your kids, but you couldn't return to it to go pro. Like, you couldn't go back to it and be like, oh, I'm going to be in a band now, or play, in an orchestra. It just won't happen. Does that make you a little sad sometimes as you're looking at the box?
It does, but I figured I'll find myself a good church band I can play with on Sundays or something like that. I still remember how to do it. It's just I'll assume it's like riding a bike. I'll never forget. I'll get better at it again. I'll never be at that professional level again.
It's like you have a short window for all that kind of stuff. Fortunately, playing instruments, that you look at Keith Richards, who has far outlived his lifespan with all the drugs he did back in the 60s and 70s, and he's outliving a lot of guys we didn't expect, and he's still playing. Like, playing a musical instrument, you can play, well into your 80s and 90s. It's one of those deals.
Yeah.
With MMA fighting, you're basically going to be done. There's the anomaly. Dan and Randy are the anomalies where they're into the 40s, still competing. Most guys are done. Late 30s, they're finished up. My personal opinion, I never heard you play the trumpet, but I think you did the right choice by going in and jumping into fighting. I really think you made a better living at it and more stabilized living, even though it's still so unstable. It's way more stable than playing playing a trumpet, even if you're in a hugely famous, you're playing in George Clinton's funk band, and they're on the road, they're still on tour. It's still so much more stable being in MMA. Do you feel the same way too?
I do. I mean, everything happens for a reason. Now there were other things I could have done, but played trumpet. But it was the right decision. I enjoy my life. I enjoy where I'm at. I love what the fork in the road. I love what my left turn brought me to.
That's Sam Alvey getting ready to fight Daniel Kelly coming up here on UFC's card on May 9th in South Australia. This is going to be another good fight. And last time the prediction was, I told Sam he's probably going to knock out Caesar in the first round. He just had to weather his 45-second storm. This one's going to go a lot later. Daniel's just going to slow you down. He doesn't want to get hit. If he's smart, he's scared of your punching power. So he's going to tie you up as soon as he can and slow the pace down and make it a grappling match. You're going to waste a lot of energy just getting away from him so you can hit him. It's going to be a lot of little small peppering shots. My feeling is, though, you're going to end up finishing him sometime in the third because he's just going to start getting more and more tired a little bit later and later, a little bit more space as the fight goes on, as he's trying to hold on to you. First it's going to be real tight, that's going to be real loose, and then you're going to put him out sometime in the third. That's my prediction, and for the last 4 fights, I've been spot on with you. So.
Yeah, you've got me pegged. Well, that's kind of what we're thinking too. I don't suspect he's going to try and stand with me. It's going to be a grappling judo wrestling match, and lucky for me, I trained with an Olympic wrestler.
Yeah, and with Terry Sokoju, who came over here and fought in the U.S. Open, not the U.S. National, but the U.S. Open, and destroyed everybody on our judo team. Walked in and just was just crushing guys. And it was like we couldn't believe this little young kid came in and beat us up. And then the next year, people started figuring him out a little bit, but it still was a battle. And so you got two super high level caliber professional athletes in the styles that you have to have for this fight.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I've been training with them for 4 years now, so it's not even that different for me. I'm just doing a few extra rounds with both of them.
Perfect. Sam, thanks so much for coming on here, man. Enjoy the rest of the day, and kiss your kids for me. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, thank you very much, sir. Have a great day.